All right, well, hopefully that's given everyone the chance to join. And again, welcome to this webinar, A Guide to Planning for the New Financial Year. Hopefully by the end of this session, we get some good takeaways on not only how to create an actionable plan with Fathom, but also how to guide your decision-making with a forecast. Just a few housekeeping things before we get started with the session. It's going to run for around 40 to 45 minutes. If you do need to jump off at any point, please feel welcome to jump off the session today. It will be recorded and we'll make sure that recording gets to you. Now we also have a Q&A feature at the top of your screen, so please feel welcome to ask any questions throughout the session. We will have about 5 to 10 minutes for a Q&A at the end. And I'll also make sure to kind of get back to you if we don't get through any of your questions today. All right, so here's our agenda for today. Now we'll start out with just a little bit of an intro to what is Fathom. So for those of you who are brand new and maybe haven't had a look before, we'll give you guys just a little bit of background on who we are and what we do here. Then we'll jump into really why businesses plan for the year. So what is the point of the session? And we'll jump into the product itself next. So we'll show how Fathom's forecasting tool can be used to make decisions and actionable plans. And as mentioned here, we'll also have around 5 to 10 minutes at the end for that Q&A session. So please, throughout the session, keep those questions coming in. Great. We'll give a little bit of an overview here. So Fathom was established in 2010 in Brisbane, Australia. We've now expanded to a global team, so we also have offices in the US, the UK, as well as the Philippines. Worldwide, we have around 40,000 organizations connected, and that number is definitely growing each day with that forecasting tool. And we're a top-rated app with Xero, QuickBooks, and MyOb. So these are actually our 3 integration platforms. If you are using one of these systems at the moment, you can really seamlessly integrate with Fathom. If you're not currently using one of these, we also do have an Excel integration. So regardless of what source accounting system you're using, Fathom's still accessible to you. Now, we're also a multi-feature platform. So the one I'm really going to be diving into today is that new forecasting tool that was just released in November of last year. But I'll give you guys just a really brief overview of those other features for those of you who are brand new today. So we do have some analysis in Fathom, and this is a really great visual tool. So if you're trying to communicate your overall business performance to your team, to your clients, or maybe you're someone who's just a bit more of a visual learner, these will allow you to really drill down into the metrics. Now we also have a reporting feature. This is great if you're looking to scale or automate your workflows. I will be touching on this one just briefly in a forecasting context today, but we can also report on actuals, budget information, and really any of those metrics that you have in Fathom as well. So there's lots of different uses on that one. If you are someone who has multiple companies, maybe you're a multi-entity group or franchise, the consolidations and benchmarking tool really allow you to not only aggregate your performance, your overall business performance, make quick eliminations, or with that benchmarking tool, you can easily compare and rank across your different organizations. And then lastly, the one we're really excited to show today, we have that forecasting tool. So let's dive in to that one now. So just some Fathom forecasting basics here. It is a 3-way forecast, and that means it's backed by the profit and loss, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statements. So within the Fathom forecast, you'll see we have 3 tabs. The profit and loss and the balance sheet are really interactive, and the cash flow statement is really the output of the forecast. Now, in terms of methodology, we're using the indirect method. Now, that means you're using your historical data that's coming directly from your source accounting system. If you are someone who's familiar with forecasting in general, you might be familiar with the direct method, which is using those transactions or invoice data. Now, some of the issues with that is we're not really sure whether those transactions will actually materialize. So what's great with that indirect method, it's really backed by that accounting integrity. Now, it also allows you to do that longer term forecast. So with the Fathom forecast, you can see up to 36 months or 3 years of forecasted figures there. So for one of those longer term business plans, this is a great method to be using. Awesome. Now, why are we looking ahead? And these are just some of the ways you can look ahead with the Fathom forecast. Now you can set goals and benchmark your performance. So you can really use that forecast as a target. As your year goes on, you can definitely compare not only your actuals, but the forecast side by side. You can also plan key business events and actions. And I'll be showing you guys some specific examples of this today. But what's great about this is we can really plan not only the events that we'd like to see actualize over the year, but we can also get some instant feedback on how these plans are impacting our bottom line. So that kind of feeds more into that decision-making aspect. Should we go ahead with that event? Should we not? And what's going to happen if we do? Lastly, we have the ability to build multiple scenarios to assess a range of expectations. So it's important to keep in mind our forecast is likely not going to be 100% accurate. It's great to just build out a range just so you know what's the expected performance we might fall into. So why are other people planning? And that's kind of that critical question we asked before building the forecast tool. We did get some good feedback, and I'll just share 2 quick quotes with you guys today. Now this one's from an advisor. They say, we help almost all of our clients with their annual forecast and any major decision making. We want to ensure they know the financial implications before moving forward with any high impact business decisions. And that really feeds into that decision making component as well as that event planning. So it's good to know how that's going to impact the bottom line before you proceed. Now this one's from a business owner. They said, we forecast to be intentional about how we run our business and to inform strategy. We make a plan and we measure how we performed against it. And I think that really has 2 key components here. Not only are they making an action plan or a strategy plan, but they're also using the forecast going forward as a way to really benchmark their performance and see how they're doing. All right, now I'd love to hear from you guys. What are you planning for? If you guys do have anything that you're planning for over the next financial year, please feel welcome to pop that into the Q&A box now. We'd love to get your feedback on that. Now, I will say we have 2 other sessions planned, so your feedback would really be appreciated. That would definitely give us a bit of input on what to show you guys next. Now, just a few things that I'm seeing coming through here. Looks like there's a few people who are wanting to plan for multiple projects. That's definitely a good one. Yep, definitely some big purchases. That's a good one as well. Business growth. Absolutely. That's a really good one. Introducing new sales staffs. Yeah, these are really good ones, guys. Keep them rolling in. This feedback's, again, going to be really helpful for the next 2 sessions. Developing a 3-year strategic plan. Yeah, absolutely, with further investment. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of new staff coming in as well. So I'm excited since that's one of the examples I'll be showing you guys today. Capital raising. Yeah, guys, keep those rolling in. I'll definitely have a look over those all later as well. All right, thanks for that. All right, now let's jump into the product itself. So let's get started. Hopefully you guys are seeing my Fathom screen there. And again, I know we have a lot of kind of newer people to the session today. So if you are getting started with a Fathom forecast for the first time, I'll just show you those 3 options we have to generate a forecast. So I'll pop into this one that I haven't generated a forecast for. You'll see if we are onboarding for the first time, we should be welcomed by a greeting screen here. Now, these are the 3 different methods of generation. If you're someone who does have an existing budget or forecast that you feel accurately reflects for the future, you can link that into the Fathom forecast. That will then allow you to leverage that live data going forward. Now, it will also allow you to just leverage some of those decision-making and planning tools as well that we have available. Now, the middle option here is the quick start forecast. That's the fastest option to get started. Now, I will say this is used by, I think it's around 60% of our users. So it's quite a common method. Basically, this is just a linear regression or a line of best fit that's applied over your historical actuals. So if you are someone who's wanting to get started quickly, this is definitely the method to go for. The last option here is the custom forecast. And if you do have a current forecasting method that you feel quite comfortable with, I would probably recommend this option. You'll see it takes about 3 minutes longer to get set up there. So those are the three methods of generation. I'll just jump into a forecast that I have done a little bit of setup on here. And to get started here, I have used that smart prediction, that quick start forecast. All right. Now, this is kind of that longer term forecast as we've mentioned here. So just a few things you may be noticing. You can actually see up to 36 months of those forecasted figures immediately on the screen. Now highlighted in the gray, you may notice we have some prior period actuals here. So you can quickly refer to up to 12 months of past data right alongside that forecasted figure. Now up at the top, you'll see we have the profit and loss, which is where we're currently sitting. Now in Fathom, we're wanting to tell the profit and loss really what we're expecting to see. So this is where most of the editing and detail will be done. The next tab over, this is the balance sheet. Nothing too crazy here, nothing too out of the ordinary, but you can click in and make any adjustments or journals as needed to these figures. So the data is feeding from the profit and loss into the balance sheet, adjustments can be made. And then in the cash flow statement, you'll see this is really the output of the forecast. So I can't click in and make any changes, but I can really quickly refer to kind of these key figures at the bottom. So my cash and cash equivalents, or in other words, what's the figure we'd be expecting to see in the bank if we perform to this forecast. Now, this is a lot of numbers, I do realize that, and you're probably wondering where are they all coming from. So I'll jump back into that profit and loss, and I'll click into an account here. Now, when I do click in, you'll see we get this great menu on the right-hand side here. Now, immediately you can see this really good visual. Not only I can see my actuals, but also that forecasted figure. So I can not only gain some confidence over the forecast and see where we're headed, I can also spot any anomalies that I might be seeing. Now underneath, I can actually see the value method or the way that we've told Fathom we'd like this line to be calculated. And in this case, I'm just using that simple linear regression line of best fit model, which you can probably see quite clearly on the graph here. Maybe I'd like to use a different method of calculation here. I can actually use this extended menus option and either edit the existing rule or create a new rule. So I'll jump in and create a new one here. You'll see it highlights in green on the line we've applied. Now, at the moment, again, I'm using smart prediction over about 12 months of historical actuals. I can use a range from 3 to 24, or I can click in and decide to go with a different method. So maybe I want to link to a previous period. Maybe my historic actuals or maybe where I've been is quite representative of the future. I can easily link that in and add a configuration. I could use a constant or growing figure. So really just choosing a starting point and again, adding one of those configurations in. I can get quite specific with a formula and driver. So this will allow you to really build out quite a custom calculation here. And I can incorporate any unit-based drivers within a Fathom forecasting formula as well here. So I'll show you guys a specific example of that coming up. Now, the last one here is just that link to budget option. So again, if you do have that budget or that existing forecast that you think really represents the future, you can really easily connect that one in. For now, I might just choose a constant or growing figure and I'll pick a starting point here. And maybe I'll just add a small increase. Now, something that I think sometimes goes unnoticed here that I definitely would recommend using is this notes feature at the bottom. So maybe I'm forecasting with a team, or maybe I'd like to track my changes as I go. I can actually type in some assumption notes here. So I'll say I made the change on the 13th of May. Now you'll also see I can include this within an assumptions report. So that is one of the reporting features I'll show you guys towards the end of the session today. Where can we actually track and view all of these changes and these notes that we've been making? So once I create the rule, you'll see it spins in real time here. So I really do have kind of that live configuration of my forecast. Now, the last thing you may be noticing in this menu is just this timing profile here. So I can tell Fathom how quickly or slowly I'm expecting these profit and loss items to time down into the balance sheet. In this case, it looks like I have an 80-20 spread. So let's view that cash timing impact. So in the same month, I'm paying about 20% of this expense, and 80% of this expense, and in the next month, I'm paying 20. So again, I can see kind of this true audit here, all of the different accounts that this is affecting. Now there is one more method of calculation here, and that's just direct entry. So maybe in December, with the holiday season, you have a spike in your income. I can actually double click in and just key in that figure. You'll see once that's entered, it's actually immediately visible along this forecast here. So I can really spot that anomaly quite immediately. Something else you might be seeing at the moment that's layered underneath my forecast baseline here are two different business events that I've planned for. Now these business events we also call a micro forecast. Now a micro forecast is basically a self-contained set of profit and loss and balance sheet movements that can be layered on top of the forecast baseline. As an example, you'll see my forecast baseline. It's actually using smart prediction at the moment. Then with my winter sales campaign that's bringing in about $20,000, I get my income total here. So that one's been layered on top. Now I can also view all of the micro forecasts that I have available to me from this tab on the left-hand side. And you'll see I've planned for quite a few different events here. So I have a new hire, a contract that I'm hoping to win, a few large asset purchases, and again, I have that marketing campaign. If I am looking to plan for a few other events, I can easily add those in by creating a micro forecast. And let's say our business is undergoing some growth and I'd like to see the impacts of a new sales hire. I can actually categorize this micro forecast so I can keep them neat and organized. And I can also give this employee an expected start date. So maybe we're looking to hire them in September. Now I can create that micro forecast using a few different methods here. I can start from scratch by adding accounts in line by line, or I can use some of these common business actions. This basically will lead me to a short questionnaire that allows me to get started quite quickly. So I'm going to choose this hire an employee option. And basically I just need to fill out this questionnaire. So it looks like they're a permanent employee. It's likely I have a good idea of their expected annual salary. And I can also link them back into an expense account. I can select next. And you'll see, because I have my salaries and wages accounts linked in, I'm actually have a few connected liabilities. So these ones look good to me. I can give them a review and then I can add it to my micro forecast. So you'll see Fathom's really done a lot of that heavy lifting for me. I can immediately see my outgoings and those connected liabilities. So it's really all wrapped up in one self-contained micro forecast here. Now, maybe we're looking to plan for a little bit of extra growth. Maybe we're looking to add a new product line in. I'll show you guys that one in just a moment, but before we do actually create the micro forecast, let's fill out a little bit of extra product detail here. I can do that by using what we call a driver, or basically any unit-based data set that I like to input. Now, as some examples here, I've just added in some employee, delivery, and customer drivers, just to give you guys an idea of kind of the possibilities behind this. But I also have a product driver at the bottom. So at the moment, I have basically my expected units sold for this product. Now, to round out this information and just to add a bit more detail within my micro forecast, let's add a product, right? Say a unit price. Again, I can categorize this just to keep us organized. So let's pop that into my products. I can choose the unit of measure. So let's say currency, and I can create that driver. Now you'll see I have this brand new line here. I can click in and just add a new value rule. So maybe my unit price is looking to stay around $15. I can really simply input that information. There we go. So now it seems like we're ready to jump back into that micro forecast. So let's create a new one here. And let's say a new product launch. Again, I can categorize it. So let's pop that into product and give us an unexpected product launch date. So maybe just before the holiday season, and I'll create that here. Now let's get started with this adding an account. So we'll start from scratch. Now what's the first thing we're bringing in for this product? It's likely some income. At the moment, you'll see I have just one income line. Now, maybe I'm looking to track this product and its success separately. A really good way to break that out quite visually would be to add in a new account. So if I scroll to the bottom, you'll see I can actually add an account onto my profit and loss that doesn't currently exist. So in this case, let's say product sales, and I can classify that as revenue. So let's add that one in and get started. All right, so again, I have that blank line. Let's click in, and what do I know? I already have my drivers set up that are ready to calculate this income. So I'll create a new value rule. This time I'll show you guys that more custom option of creating a formula or driver. And let's type in my units sold. I'll specify it for the current month. And we'll multiply that by my unit price, again, for the current month. So once I save my changes and create that rule, again, it's going to spin in real time. You'll see I already have some kind of attached liabilities here. And really, I've built out a bit of a product detail that I didn't previously have. Now, it's likely we also have some associated expenses with this product launch. So let's add in a new account. Now, it's likely we're looking to do some advertising just to get this off the ground. So let's add in that account. And again, I can do that same method here. So I'll just decide, how am I actually going to be calculating this line? Maybe in this case, we just have kind of a large upfront advertising cost, and then maybe we think it'll take off. I can easily key that in here. Now, these micro forecasts will be immediately visible back on the profit and loss where any of those account linkages have been made. So I can see my new product sales one here, and I can see kind of those prior ones as well that are still linked to my income. Beautiful. Now we do have a more visual view for these micro forecasts as well. So if you're someone who's a bit more of a visual learner, I definitely would recommend taking a look at this product roadmap here. This just gives us a more visual view over the timing and the impacts that these events may have. And this might look like a bit of a jumble here, but you can actually see my events are listed out. So I now have a new sales staff as well as a new product launch that I'm planning for. Now, you may have also noticed at the bottom of the screen, we had some kind of pinned metrics following us around. So I can actually maximize this and just get a view over some of the metrics that might be important to my business. In this case, I have my my cash on hand and my change in cash, but I can also edit these metrics and add some more. So it's important to think, which of these metrics might be relevant for my business. Maybe I'm also looking to track something like my EBIT. Now, I can set a threshold value here. So basically, that's a number that we wouldn't feel comfortable going under. And I can add it into this screen here. Now, I can also see that when I've reached this threshold level, I'm actually getting this red highlight here. So that means I might want to take some action and then start playing around with the timing of these events. Again, if you're a visual learner, you can actually pop this into a chart view. And I can see that's a pretty big divot under my change in cash threshold here. Now, just kind of immediately, you might be attributing this to kind of those 3 major asset purchases that we've stacked up in October. So maybe let's have a play around with the timing and see how that might impact our bottom line. So I'll change the store fit out to where I'm having a bit of a spike in December. And looks like that might smooth this out a little bit. Maybe I can also move the timing of this truck purchase back by just a little bit. So really what we're doing here is just trying to become above our threshold level and maybe just smooth out any of those spikes. Now, if I've moved my truck purchase back, maybe I can also delay that hire of my new truck driver as well. So this looks like a pretty spaced out roadmap. Looks like I'm pretty comfortable within my change in cash now. I've reduced that metric by quite a lot there. Now, there is one other way that we can really get quite a visual view over these micro forecasts, and that's really with the scenario planning here. So maybe you're looking to really assess that range of expectations that we have. A great way to do that would be by building out a worst and a best case scenario. So you'll see in this case, I already have a worst case that I've built. So let's jump in and create a best case here. So I can actually add a configuration onto my main forecast or any of the other scenarios that I have. So let's say in a best case, maybe I have quite a large increase in my revenue, and maybe I have a small decrease in my expenses. I can then say, which of these events do I still want to proceed with if I do have this best case? Maybe my customer support is already doing a great job and I don't actually need that new sales staff. And maybe I decide, I've actually reached my addressable market and I can actually end that winter campaign. So let's create the scenario and see what that looks like. Now I immediately have this visual that's now removed those micro forecasts. I can see that I'm currently in my best case. Now I can see this not only on the business roadmap, but also back on that main forecast grid as well. What I think is really valuable here is I can actually switch between my best and worst case scenarios. So again, that's just going to spin in real time, where I can actually X out and just go back to my normal case here. Now you might be thinking, okay, this looks great, but how do I actually present this to my team or to my clients? Now, if that's what you're thinking, definitely stay tuned because we'll jump into the reporting section next. Now, just a really brief overview for those of you who are brand new to the Fathom forecast and maybe to the reporting center as well. Reports can basically go to two places, and that's really based on the user permissions that you've given them. So within the draft report, anyone with permission to edit reports can view and change these. Once they're a finalized product, you can send them into published. Anyone with only permission to view the reports will be able to see these, but they won't be able to make any changes. Again, if you are getting started for the first time, or maybe you're just not sure where to start with a forecast report, I would recommend to jump into this predefined section. You'll see we have some great templates that are already set up. You can still customize these further, and you might actually notice if you've had a look at Fathom in the past, we have some brand new templates here. So we have an advanced forecast analysis and a forecast analysis. I've actually generated one of these and made a few edits. So I'm going to jump into this forecast analysis template. Now that one, you might have noticed, it's sitting under published at the moment. So let's jump in and view this one. Beautiful. Now, as something to note, this has the Fathom logo at the top. You can white label this and put in your own custom company or client logo. You'll see I'm also immediately greeted here by my action plan. So I not only have my overview for how I'm looking to proceed with my 2021-2022 financial year, but I also have some great action items here. So I can really clearly see not only am I starting recruitment for my long-term hires, I'm awarding some tender contracts, maybe reevaluating the forecast in Q3, and I'm also monitoring that 12-month plan and forecast going forward. So I have some really specific and actionable items that I'm immediately greeted with in this report. Now, next up, I have what's probably a pretty familiar visual to us all now. You'll see it's actually immediately updated. So I can see this brand new sales hire. I can also see this product launch. So that one's been immediately updated from that forecast we've just generated. Now you can also see there's some commentary here, and this is a feature of just the published reports. So if you do have your team or your clients in the platform, you can actually make some commentary. So in this case, I think this forecast plan looks great, so that's probably a good thing. But you can also use this for questions or maybe just some strategy planning as well. You can not only see what user has made this comment, but I can also see the timestamp on it as well. So that's a great feature to take advantage of within the published reports. Now, next up, you'll see I have that best and worst case scenario analysis. Now, at the moment, you'll see I can only see my worst case. So let's actually edit this and add in that best case so I can really assess that range of performance. Now, it's pretty simple. I can just add or remove any of my series here. So that one's going to give me really that immediate update on this forecast graph. Now, within that published report, you can actually scroll your mouse over and actually see that expected range of performance just by scrolling your mouse over those dot points there. So this is a great way that we can really see where we're headed in the future, not only if we do a great product launch and have major successes, but also if we maybe don't perform as we're hoping. Next, I have some cash flow analysis. So if you are someone who's looking for a very visual dashboard, maybe you're looking for some quick metrics, this one's already set up within that forecast analysis template. And if you're someone who's a bit more numbers based, you can also get really a good breakdown, kind of our 12-month plan here for the three-way forecast. So you'll see I have the P&L, the balance sheet, and then the cash flow statement at the bottom. Now, lastly, I have some assumption notes here. And actually, a lot of these assumption notes I've added in have been from direct feedback from some of our clients. So things that people are tracking within their forecast notes are things like what change they've made. So we're assuming an increase, who made the change. So if you're forecasting within a team. And I thought this one was quite cool. We actually have a user who's currently linking in external documents into their forecast. So in this case, I decided to link in a document of a finalized contract within my contractor's expense. Now within this, I could actually just copy and paste this into the top of my search bar and immediately get that kind of external information as well. Now, if you are someone who's looking to monitor the forecast going forward, I would definitely recommend using that schedule feature of Fathom. And again, for those of you who are new, I'll just quickly show you guys this one. I can use this overflow menu and save it as a template. And let's call it our action plan. When it's in template, we basically know it's something we're wanting to generate on a frequent basis. I can use that drop down again and schedule this report. So I can either send it to draft or to published. We'd recommend to send it to draft just so you have that chance to really view it before it's sent out to all of your users. You can also choose the frequency it comes out. And maybe you need some time after the end of the period to reconcile your account. You can also put your report on a delay. Now, this last step here, you can decide if you want to be notified by email once the report's been created. Basically, you're going to get a link into Fathom, which will just allow you to log in and view that report that's been created. So once I create, it's on a schedule. You'll see it's active. My next issue date is the 10th of June, and my reporting period is monthly. So this one's active. We're leveraging not only that live data that's coming over from your source accounting system into Fathom, but we're also leveraging the fact that it's a rolling forecast. So my plan is going forward. It's updating with my actuals, and my forecast is updating based on our actual results. So that is a great way to kind of really take action and monitor that forecast going forward. Now, if you do have any questions, I'm just going to hop back into my my slides here, and I'll put up my email here. If you do have questions about the session or you'd like to get in touch, please feel welcome to email me. I'll just leave this up for a few minutes on the screen here. And if you haven't yet, definitely sign up for a free trial of Fathom. You'll see I've added the link here. It's free for 14 days and we don't take any billing information. Now, I will say all of those tools are available to you within that free trial, so it's fully functional. You can not only play around with all of those great forecasting features, but you can also jump into the analysis reports and the multi-entity features as well. I'll leave this up on the screen for just a few minutes, but please feel free to put those questions in now. We will have some time coming up just for about 5 or so minutes of questions as well. I can see there's quite a few rolling in here, so please keep those coming, guys. Oh, great. I'm glad you guys are liking it. Thanks for your feedback as well. Oh, I'm getting some really good ones here. All right, hopefully these have been taken down. If you want them, we'll also be sending you an email later with the recording of the session and the sign up link. So feel free to wait for that one if you didn't get the chance to take it down. But for now, let's jump into some of the questions. And I have one that's a little bit recurring here, and it's actually about our support. So do we offer any further trainings? That's a really good question. So we do have trainings available, so you can always jump on a demo with a Fathom team member. And we also have actually a really good support home. So let me show you guys this one. Let me see. You'll see at the top here, hopefully you guys are seeing that, we actually have a help center that's accessible. So I definitely would recommend jumping in there. We have some video trainings. We also have some really in-depth articles as well that give you a step-by-step alongside some visuals. Again, we're also going to have 2 other sessions of this webinar, so it'll be following that same content surrounding forecasting. So if you're really mainly looking for forecasting training, I definitely would recommend joining the next 2 sessions as well. Great, seeing a lot more questions coming through, so this is awesome. Yeah, can the forecast be prepared at the consolidated entity level? Absolutely. Yeah, you'll see I have some consolidations here. So these are some groups. You'll see I actually have the same features. So I can build the forecast in the exact same manner. It's just going to be using those aggregated group results. That's a good one. Yeah, I have another good one here. Can you show us another driver? Yeah, absolutely. I'll pop back into the actual forecasts here. And guys, there's quite a lot of questions at the moment, so I probably won't get through all of them. But again, we'll follow up and answer any of those questions that we don't have time for today. So in this driver section, again, I can build out any of those drivers that I might need to incorporate into any formulas. So maybe let's do one that might relate back to that new salesperson. Maybe I'm looking to also provide some training to my salesperson. I can easily input some training costs. And again, that might be an employee driver. And in this case, it's probably a currency. So again, it's kind of endless really. As long as it's a unit-based metric, you can really input it here. Now I'll just create this driver. Maybe we don't spend $500 every month, maybe just for the first 4 months they get some training. I'll show you guys another kind of hidden trick here. I can actually jump in and stop the rule at any time or recreate a rule at any time. So I have 4 months of training here, and then after that, you know, hopefully this salesperson is up to speed. Cool. Oh, glad you guys are liking it. I have other staff I want to train. Hopefully that one's helped there. You can absolutely input that training cost as well. Beautiful. Yeah, I have many rules or multiple rules for my P&L. How do I limit where it applies? That's a really good question as well. On the profit and loss, there's basically a few different ways we can add in a value rule here. So again, I can choose a starting point. So maybe I want to actually choose a starting point later on. You'll see I can create the new rule for the current period. That's one way we can apply them. The other way is we can actually apply them at the heading level. So you'll see for most of these cost of sales lines, they're using smart prediction. If I scroll over, I can see any of those lines that aren't using smart prediction. So those are the ones that are in the white there. So I could actually add a rule, just for kind of that whole heading line as well. That's a really good question. For those of you who don't have any questions as well, feel free to jump off the session. And yeah, again, guys, thank you so much for attending. We'll make sure that recording gets out to you as well. Yeah, there's quite a good one. Is there a way to import a forecast using Excel? Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. So the way you could import your forecast, if you do have one that's existing, would actually be within your settings. So I'll jump into the forecast settings here. And you'll see I can actually add in a budget. So that allows us to then use that link to budget option. And you'll see the two options I have here is either the forecast, if maybe I've created the budget within Fathom, or if I have that external data from Excel, I could just simply select that option. So yeah, you can absolutely link in an external one there. Now, guys, there's still quite a lot of questions, but I don't think I'm going to get to them all today. So please feel welcome to jump off now. I'll make sure I follow up for any of those questions that we haven't answered. Again, thanks for attending and keep an eye out for the next 2 sessions. Thank you.